It seems Jey Uso doesn't feel too Ucey. Could things be falling apart at the seams before we head to Saudi Arabia next weekend for Crown Jewel? The worst time, one could say. Maybe not so much for Logan Paul and the Brawling Boots, but we've got a lot to talk about. So let's just get stuck into it. Welcome to the Smack Attack. My name is James McIver. Alone. There's no one here. No one with me today. It's just me. John's away at the boathouse this week, so I don't know what's going to go down this week. I don't know how this show's going to go, to be honest with you. I've not done one of my own ever. I think this is the first time it's going to be me and the fans, as The Rock would say right there. But we've got a lot to talk about. We've got some SmackDown. Apologies for not having the show last week. I had a bit of a workplace emergency I had to tend to, so I had to kind of work on that and get all there. Yes, Canada Spaceman alone. But congratulations, first comment of the day. Oh shit, let's get this working right. Jason Field Tuesday, that was great. Guys could barely hold it together from cracking up, totally laughing and non-stop. Here, I thought that was a really great way to kick things off on SmackDown. I'm just going to get stuck into it. I'm going to go on a bit of a windy approach for this. If John appears, then great. If not, then you get what you get. Apologize in advance for what this show's going to be. But SmackDown kicked off with the Bloodline having their match against the Brawling Boots. Before they got out there, Sami Zayn had to do a little bit of a pep talk, speak to Jey Uso and, well, it says and Solo Sikoa. God almighty, I'm having a great start here. Should I start again? No, we'll crack on. But the chat with Jey and Solo Sikoa, Roman Reigns not there yet. Sami trying to say that they want the hands raised for the time Roman Reigns arrived on the show. And he needs Jey to show the energy that he showed against Kofi Kingston 2 weeks ago. Finally acknowledges that Jey was there to help him out. And it's quite a nice little moment. But Jey's still not enjoying himself against Sami Zayn. But we get to the match. Not too bad match. Very good action in the ring. I thought it was quite smart that they didn't have the Usos wrestle the Brawling Brutes on this one. Having Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa doing the business to kind of set up things for next weekend for Crown Jewel when we have the big tag team title match. I'm not expecting too much from that. Bit of a shame not to have Sheamus here, but of course he's written off TV to have a wedding. So congratulations to him for getting married to the love of his life last week. It was really lovely for that. But good bit of wrestling all round. Good bit of action. Riddick Moss is not Riddick Moss. Who am I talking about? The Brawling Brutes. They're starting to look a lot. Why am I saying Riddick Moss? Where am I today? I'm up and down and all around. People help me out. Reg Holland. God almighty. Reg Holland had a great performance for this. I thought he's starting to really get a bit more slick in the ring. He's starting to get a bit more confidence in what he does. And part of that will be helped by working with the likes of Sami Zayn and the Usos there. But he's fantastic. Really fluid. Starting to show his strength a little bit more. And even Pete Dunne, even though we didn't get to see as much of him in this match, I thought he still does great work. I think it's going to be a great match next week against the Usos at Crown Jewel. The cohesion of it between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso is, of course, the big storyline that we're getting into right now. That's what this whole thing's coming to an end at some point. We don't know when. I mean, not even they know when this is going to finish up. There was a lot of chat over the week where Sami Zayn didn't know if this was going to make it past Elimination Chamber, and that's over in February. God damn, that's quite a way of planning out. But we get to the point where Brawling Brutes are starting to get a little bit of an advantage. Jace tries to help Sami Zayn by pulling him out the ring just before Pete Dunne goes for a moonsault. And the argument begins already where I'm trying to help you. I didn't need the help. I had it. And the miscommunication is absolutely what I'm kind of going on a bit of a tangent to try and fill time. But the point is, Jay did try and help Sami. Sami didn't appreciate it for some reason. And it came to bite them on the arse. So as soon as Sami Zayn came in, he had to take the pin. Bit of a shame for that, just to see how the Bloodline are still coming part of the seams. I'm really liking this dynamic, though, between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. It shows itself quite well in the promo that came after the match, where they don't get along. Jay's still got this really angry intensity. Yes, Labrat, he's not feeling very sick. He's on holiday. He's away. Well, is he on holiday? He's on a trip to the boathouse. If I have said to him, if you want to pop on at some point, he might. So there's every chance he might come and save this show. I'm not joking. Could be car crash telly that you're witnessing on YouTube right now. And if you're listening to this on Channel Attitude, I do apologize for what's happening right now. But The dynamic between Jey Uso and Sami Zayn is really great. It's a great comedic dynamic that you get between the two of them. You've got Jey, who's 100% the straight man, and Sami Zayn, who's got the comedic energy that brings us forward. The timing's on point, but they've got to work well against each other, right? So they can't just have one that really silly and then just someone do nothing. The way that Jimmy's building and building to a crescendo of his emotions and getting angrier and angrier is just a delight to see. It makes this whole storyline worth watching as well. That like the focus obviously is kind of pulling away from maybe more important matters. You know, we've got Logan Paul and Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel next week, Braun Brutes and the Usos next week for the titles at Crown Jewel as well. Uh, it just I for me, I don't know about you guys when you're watching this and listening to this, but for me, I'm not really interested in that. I'm more interested in what's happening in fighting in the bloodline and where that's going to lead, and when it finally hits the finishing point. And it really showed itself in the segment after. So after all of this, Braun Brutes get the win, bit of infighting going on, and Roman Reigns finally comes to SmackDown. He makes his way to the ring, and he's making it known he's having none of their pish. He starts off by saying if they're going to act like children, he's going to deal with them like children. And we're not going to deal with it backstage. We're going to deal with it right here in the ring. I'm just going to catch up with some comments here. Miriam Vive, how we doing, my friend? Thanks for joining the chat. I thought the opening segment, this segment we're about to talk was absolutely fantastic. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Roman and Jay had such a hard time keeping a straight face from hearing Ucey. Yes, they did. Let's just get to it then. So Roman Reigns says they're going to handle this in the ring. Sami Zayn pleads his case. He says there's been communication issues with Jay recently. He doesn't understand why. He also says that him and Jay had no issues when they started hanging out, but now that Zayn is involved in the bloodline and doing things, they're just not getting along, and he doesn't understand. But he says so whatever he's done wrong, he's really sorry and wants to bury the hatchet. And Jay just goes mental at him, gives him the third degree. He talks about saying he's got 2 seconds to get out of his face. He doesn't like him, his hair, or his face. Doesn't like the shirt that he's been given. Doesn't like that Zayn's hanging out with the family. And he tells me he can't be part of the bloodline because he's not blood. He's not blood. He's not proper Uce. Uh, he doesn't belong here. No one in the group, and he breaks it to him that no one in the group likes him. But Jay's the only one who's got the guts to tell him. And you can see a little bit of heartbreak in Zayn's face. It's just a shame. But Zayn comes back and says, "Look, I'm not. I want peace. The tribal chief wants peace." And Jay hits the line, "I don't give a damn what the tribal chief thinks." And here we go. I think that went under the radar. As soon as he said that, Reigns, for most part, while this is happening, is just kind of looking at the ground. He's not looking head down straight. He's heads up, but his eyes are on the ground. He's just taking it in, listening to what's happening. And as soon as he says, "I don't give a damn what the tribal chief thinks," fuck me, do those eyes just shoot up. And it's a proper moment of just, ooh, something's about to go down. Jay doesn't care, clearly. He's proper hyped up, angry, not in the mood. Zayn looks like he's about to get hit by a car, absolutely terrified. And Roman Reigns turns around, and before he starts giving it to Jay, in fact, he does kind of talk to Jay in this part. Oh, no, hang on. No, actually, I'm right here. I'm trying to remember this right. Turns around, Sami Zayn instantly to the defense of to the defense of Jay. After all of this has happened, all that's went down, Sammy's still sticking up for Jesus. So he talks about he's not thinking right. He's not been right for a while. Something's not going on. He's in the line of the night. He's just not feeling Ucey. And everybody, absolutely everybody in the ring has to stop. Like you can see, Reigns can get away with it because he just finds it funny anyway. He's looking at Sammy. He's the small guy. He'll laugh at him. He all that stuff. But when you're Jey Uso trying to look really serious and angry at this whole scenario, to see him just buckle under the pressure is a sight to behold. Fair play to him that he held it just enough to get it past him, but it's a look of total like confusion. He just turns and goes, almost like to say, "What the fuck are you just saying?" and just lets it breathe. I really appreciate how they let it breathe there. Jimmy in the background dying, but that's for another thing. And while Reigns laughs, he really makes the point to Jay. He's like, listen, if you're not feeling too Ucey, you need to go find your inner Ucey again. Inner Ucey, that was the words as well. Inner Ucey. And he's like, if you don't find your inner Ucey and get it together soon, I'm going to do something you don't like. I'm going to take that shirt off Sammy. I'm going to maybe I take the honorary off of that shirt and make it a full blown Oos. Maybe I make him a full blown member of the bloodline. And incensed Jey Uso, but Sami Zayn looks like a kid at Christmas. It's almost like he's been told he's guess what he's getting for Christmas, and he's not really supposed to know. Brilliant stuff all around. And before he finishes off, he says, maybe we don't just give him the t-shirt. Maybe we call him Sammy Uso. And the crowd just eat it up. Sammy Uso chants. I think that's going to last for a little while longer. And that was it. They did a little bit of hyping up for Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. I thought it was a fantastic segment, but again, that point where they just bring up Logan Paul rather than not really do too much about it brings up my big problem about what's going on just now with the bloodline Logan Paul. It's a bit of a similar issue with Ronda Rousey later on. We'll talk about that in a second. Logan Paul is 1000% the afterthought here. There's no, like, of course, there's a bit of promotion behind it. We've seen Logan Paul for the past couple of weeks. We've had these little segments, but in your own honesty, if you the listener or you the watcher right now, if you're watching this, are you even at all interested in what this match is? Roman Reigns and Logan Paul. Like, is there any chance that Logan Paul wins this? No. So why should I care about this? I mean, they do a little bit later on to try and make it convincing that Logan Paul has a fighting chance in this. And even at that, it was a bit half-hearted. It was like like the sparring training sessions that he was doing and knocked a guy out in sparring. This is like way back when he was starting his boxing career and maybe training from Floyd Mayweather. And it just wasn't enough for me. You know, we've got Logan. This should be, if I was a businessman and I was trying to plan this and I was thinking, right, I need to make millions of dollars off of this match. I need Logan Paul, Roman Reigns to really hit the rails. I need to get the traction going, as much attention as possible and get them up and running. And it just doesn't feel that way. It feels very much an afterthought. We've got a storyline between Jey Uso and Sami Zayn that we're not really going to get any progression in at Crown Jewel because Sami Zayn's not going to be there. So, as great as the story is, and I absolutely love it, and I don't think that's an unpopular opinion, the Logan Paul thing is really starting to suffer from this. I can't take that seriously. I can't take the match seriously. And they're not giving us enough to make me think that Logan Paul could even win this or even come close to winning this. Yeah, well done. You knocked out Sami Zayn just for I don't think he actually did. He just hit him and he knocked him off. And then you can knock off Jey Uso. Great. Good for you. But then when you get into this ring, it's just gonna be an absolute smashing. And there's not enough substance for me. We're a week away. Maybe something will change next week. I don't know. But then at the same time, they're already on the flight to Saudi Arabia come next Friday Night SmackDown. So who even knows? Who knows what we'll get in this? And I don't know. I know we're spinning wheels to get to the next storyline or the next proper challenger, but there's not many. We're really running through them all. Drew McIntyre and Karrion Cross have still got their thing. You would like to think the result of that might come into this. Yes, Medium 5, spot on there. This is a dud. WWE realizes it. I think you're absolutely spot on the dot there. It's maybe this isn't panning out, but then it's part of their own doing. They've not, I suppose, I guess I can't really blame them completely. I guess Logan Paul's got his own schedule and things he needs to do and how he promotes himself. But at the same time, if you're going to commit to a big event like Crown Jewel, you got to play your part. You got to be able to be available, commit to whatever dates we can get you in. If you can work around it, great, or do more than what we've done. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I don't really follow Logan Paul on social media, but I don't see a lot on social media. I don't see a lot on his platforms about this event. The only thing I've seen was the other night when he was plugging Jake Paul's fight with Anderson Silva tonight. Oh Christ, I forgot about that. Jake Paul and Anderson Silva is fighting tonight, and that is an absolute shambles. If Anderson Silva gets knocked out tonight, I'm done. I'm out. I've had enough. You might not see me next week. I'll be like, I'm done with everything. I'm going to go and just follow football for the rest of my days. I mean, I do that already, but I'll just like hands down commit to it. That'll be my life for the rest of the time. But yeah, so there's a lot to be desired for this storyline. I kind of hope that they find someone to fill the gap between now and the Royal Rumble. If I was to think off the top of my head, if there's anyone, I don't really know. I mean, you've got uh, you've got Rey Mysterio who's doing this thing with Gunther, but then that'll probably get tied up for quite a while. Maybe Sheamus. That would not be too bad an idea. You know, you're doing this stuff with the Brawling Brutes and having this back and forth with the Usos. They broke his arm last week, so I suppose he's got incentive to go after Roman Reigns. And following his matches with Gunther, I guess you can get that to the Royal Rumble, like that time scale to get across it. That wouldn't be too bad, actually. I'd go for that. That'd be the only thing that would make any sense. I got another comment here, Medium 5. Apparently, we're doing all Bloodline connects to fans through Sammy as a babyface. Yeah, absolutely. Love the Bloodline. Paul can't connect to the audience and even said he has a hard time doing as such, which is totally right. But he's athletically gifted and he's got the look where I can see WWE's got the problem where if you make him the heel, and I don't know why they couldn't. I mean, he's a natural heel. Who do they pair him up against? I guess you don't want to see him getting absolutely smashed by a Braun Strowman or someone of that ilk, someone more entertaining. It would just be it would be kind of hard to watch if you're a kind of fan. You'd want to have some kind of momentum for him to make it make sense. I guess a Miz, when he had his match with the Miz, that worked because again, someone who can work really well with him, but he's not absolutely dominating the match, but he can make Logan look really good, and that would be the important thing. This is a total different ball game. So if you'd had him heel against Roman Reigns, and to be fair, when you get in the ring and you hear the crowd, there's every chance it'll be kind of 50-50 either way anyway. But it just wouldn't really work too great for Logan Paul in this scenario. But there could have been better people to work with. Like, I don't know, even like Judgment Day, they've got a bit of momentum going. If they didn't have a match with the OC coming up, would a Finn Balor be a good idea? You know, maybe not get a win against Finn Balor, but then have something about that. But then again, that's kind of putting Logan as your babyface and the wrong way around. But you could pair or an AJ Styles. Oh, there you go. If you had AJ Styles and who didn't do this thing with the OC, that's high profile enough. We could have a great match. But who knows? I'm trying to fill as much gaps as I can because there's so many gaps in this storyline between Reigns and Logan Paul where I'm like, why am I interested? Why should I be interested? And if I'm asking those questions or fans are asking these questions, there's a big problem there. And that's something we need to rectify. Basically, we need this out the way. We need to just get rid of this. And the sooner the better. What does Logan Paul do in WWE? He's assigned talent. How else would they do for the Roman versus Paul since this was done out of nowhere? I don't really know if you could do this again. I think this is absolutely one and done. I mean, the fact this is his third match is a big thing, but also the reputation, well, the response they'll get, the eyes on it, that's the big thing for them. But they've got to kind of focus on that and maybe use them a bit more wisely as they go forward and push things forward to other things. It's a weird one. It's a bit of an odd one. I think the whole him being as assigned talent as well as a publicity thing. I would not buy into the fact that he's got a 3-4 year contract. I think he's only here for however long he is. But I think it'd be like the odd match here and there. You're not going to see him as like a full time talent or anything like that. It would make no sense for Logan anyway to be a full time talent. Like he's taking too much time and energy from like his energy drinks, the boxing, the YouTube podcasts and stuff, and all this. So it would be a bit of a challenge to make that work for him, I imagine. Kind of Spaceman making a comment about maximum male models. Bad but cool. Kind of like Billy and Chuck tag team with Rico. Is that his name? Rico Constantino? No, that can't be right. Is that a thing? I just knew him as Rico. That's interesting. I get where you're getting the Billy and Chuck thing from. And I totally kind of agree from how that is. Although I'm starting to get deflated by maximum male models. They've not really shown to the potential. When they debuted, right? And I'll put my hands up and say this. When they debuted, I was like, these guys can go all the way. They could be a big deal. They could take over the show. They'll be fantastic. And they're not. We were first to admit that. I got it totally wrong. I expected a bit more from them. I expected a bit more razzmatazz. I expected a bit more kind of success, but backed up by the character work, backed up by the ring work. Mansoor's a really good worker. He can do stuff. uh, Mace or Massey, I suppose, has got a bit of presentation about him. He's a big guy. He could do a lot of good stuff. So there's potential there. There was a lot of potential in what they could have done. And then LA Knight just started to break away in the midst of maybe not enjoying it, maybe tempted to leave. They got in Maxine Dupree, which kind of fills the gap. I think they need another person now, or Pretty Deadly. I need that. I keep saying Pretty Deadly on a weekly basis. I come on here, but they need someone of that ilk to come in and freshen them up a little bit, give them a bit of momentum because they're just fodder. That's a bloody shame when you've put in that much stock into a character, or you've set them up in such a way, and you've been doing these runway segments, the debut stuff when they were kind of introduced, all the stuff backstage, the segments on SummerSlam where they're doing the beach wear and all this. It's like you're putting all this stock into this, yet you're not really catching on the momentum. EDM5 Pretty Deadly can be the Billy and Chuck. Yes, absolutely. If you see their stuff on NXT, they fit the basically they fit the bill of what I thought MMM were going to be. That would have been fantastic. That would have worked brilliantly. This larger than life models who can do all sorts, who can wrestle in the ring. That was the whole point, wasn't it? That they could main event the WrestleMania and then the next week go on the runway of whatever fashion events they are. I don't know many fashion events, but they could do that and it would work really well. And there was something in that idea. There really was. There's a great heel faction, a great heel team persona that's in there. But as soon as we got them, we treat them like a joke. And yeah, you can, but there has to be some kind of oomph about them. You know what I mean? Like they can have this sort of effeminate model style character that everyone hates and gets annoyed. Ego. That's the word I'm looking for. Ego and the stuff to back it up. They have this presentation, how they are with people, how they talk to people, how they look down on people, and they've got this idea of beauty. That's a great thing to have when you're a heel because you can turn it on the fans. You're not as good as us. We don't look as good, and yet we can work in the ring. And then when they have matches, they win matches, and then it works. That's when it gets a bit more consistent. That's when you can believe in the characters, believe in the idea, and it all works in this nice, neat little package. And then you have this match with the New Day. Don't really want to talk much about it. Massey didn't even get much in the match. He was kept out for the most part. Mansoor taking a lot of the offense from Kofi and Xavier Woods. Interestingly enough, they said they were going to make a push for the Usos record title reign, which would be really interesting. Oh dear, that's a bot there. I'm just going to get rid of you right now. Look, there we go. So I don't mess around with my chat. I like my chat to be real people chatting real stuff. And that's what it's all about there. But thanks for joining with me, chat. Much appreciated. The ones that have stuck around. It's really you're helping me out quite a big deal as we go through SmackDown. But I'm not really want to talk too much about the New Day and Maximum Male Models. It was an all right match. Interested that they brought up that the New Day might be pushing for the titles again some point soon. Not against that, but there's other fish to fry at that moment. So maybe they'll go on a bit of a run, maybe work their way around the division. That'll be okay. Backstage, Sonya Deville with Kayla Braxton and was asked if she would be answering the open challenge for Ronda Rousey's women's title. Didn't want to give it away. Why would I spoil the surprise? Tell you who's not going to be doing it though. Liv Morgan. And they just went at it. They just went absolutely just battered each other backstage. This has been going on for a few weeks. I just want to see a match now. That's where I'm at. Broken by security. Bray Wyatt's logo appeared on the crate back there apparently, which is quite interesting. Let's see, where are we? Oh yeah, we can talk about this match. Let's see. Braun Strowman backstage, cutting his promo on Omos, and you know what? They've done all right with this. Like I'm not saying they've done gangbusters. I'm not saying they're doing tremendous stuff, but they've done all right. Okay. Braun Strowman talking about Omos, saying he used to do all these things. I know he used to be. He was like, oh, what's the word he was going to say? I did write it down somewhere. But he talks about being bigger and stronger. Take on people your own size and all that stuff. And he talks about how he used to be, and everyone knows I used to be rip off car doors, throw that away, lift up ambulances, lift trucks, and it was all because it excited me. The challenge was exciting, and that's why he wants to face Omos because he's bigger than him, but he can't see he's stronger, but he doesn't know, and that's where the excitement comes, and that's why he wants to face Omos at Crown Jewel. It's not the most complicated story. It's not the most over the top thing, but it makes sense. It works. That's the whole thing. Is he sees Omos, who's this big guy. He sees a challenge. He wants to knock him down. Big guys doing big guy shit in a big ring on a big event. Fucking right. Let's do it. That's all you need to have. It doesn't have to be over complicated storylines. It doesn't have to be soap opera. Sometimes you just have to say, here's Big Man, here's Big Man 2. Let's just smash big men together and have ourselves a match for 5 minutes. The spectacle is what it's all about. That's what it is. And that's what makes it great for me. And maybe we miss out on that enough because we don't have a lot of big titans, as Mini M5 likes to point out. Is big guys doing big things can be fun to watch. If and I'm not saying it's going to be a technical classic by any means, but if you're going to give them 5-10 minutes to just club each other, throw each other about the ring, do some outside of the ring brawling, then I'm here for it. And maybe it does a favor for Omos, who's been kind of treading water for quite a while since he broke up with AJ Styles and having that mini feud with Bobby Lashley that did quite pan out anyway. But to have that little bit of hope that you can do something with him, you know what? It works. It's absolutely fine. Not a problem with it whatsoever. And it's something I'm looking forward. It's one of the few matches that I'm looking forward to for Crown Jewel. And I'll give them that. A lot of this card is spectacle matches. So I know I was a bit hard on Roman Reigns and uh, Logan Paul, but spectacle match. It's gonna grab attention. It'll be interesting. And then you have blah, blah, blah. But then you have this, which is a big spectacle match. Fantastic. You've got a cage match with Drew McIntyre and Karrion Cross. It's all matches that would grab headlines and grab attention. Um, what have we got here? Oh, the vet maybe a hard shell, but he has a gooey interior. I think the vet feels her heart when he's not called upon to co-host the Smack Attack instead of you guys cancelling. It's not so much that. Last week, right. I think I said it at the beginning, but I'll say it again. Last week I had a bit of a workplace emergency, so I couldn't really make it, and that's how that thing's. And this week I was kind of unsure of how things were panning out time wise, so I had to just make a call. That's why this happened. I made the call. It was like, right, John's away. I don't know when I can be available, so I'm just gonna go for it and hope for the best. So don't worry, it's a 1 week thing. God willing, it'll be a 1 week thing that I'm going to do this on my own. But we'll see how things go. But we'll push on. As I say, this is going to be a bit more of a condensed show rather than what we've got. So let's just get into the good stuff. Ronda Rousey on the microphone, just talking about that she's got the championship where it belongs, wants to prove it tonight with her open challenge, and she just goes heel on them, which is fair enough. Not the best promo, whatever. Calls out her opponent, and it just turns out to be Emma, the former Tenille Dashwood. It's quite nice to see her come back to SmackDown. Maybe not under this circumstance, and I'll explain that in a second. But you know what? It's good to see that names are now wanting to come back to WWE and do things, and they are making their presence felt right away. You know, we're getting the likes of Emma coming back. Hit Row have come back recently. Bray Wyatt's come back, obviously most noticeable. But there's a sign of positivity and the right energy that's coming in where people can feel like they're returning. Yeah, kind of Spaceman, exactly where my thoughts go in here. Like Tenille Dash would return in, but not against Ronda, and I absolutely agree. It was a good match. Really good showcase for Emma. I should remember calling her Emma rather than Tenille, but it was a great showcase for her to show what she's able to do in the ring and give Ronda a bit of a workout. But man, to have her come back in this manner as an open challenge as fodder, like it's the word. Seems like the word of the day for me right now. That fodder's coming into this, which is just there to get beat. And Ronda looks good. I mean, it's great that she looks all right. She's had a good match. But then the cheating to win thing, I didn't like either. You know, you've got Ronda Rousey trying to prove herself. We kicked herself in the foot in many degrees here. You've got Emma came back who could have had something a bit more meaningful, a bit more of a story behind her. But it just seems like the debut fell a bit flat for me with the crowd. The audience didn't seem to be all about it. maybe not thinking too much of it. Could have done it in a better location, maybe someone who's a bit more familiar, or do we spend a bit more time building her up, do some promo packages and things like that? But then you get into the territory of Emelina, which was an absolute car crash and disaster. I suppose they don't want to do that again. But it would just felt wasteful, absolutely wasteful that she's coming in and pushing all that, being there to be beaten. And then what's going to happen to her next week? Where's she going to go? Who's her next opponent? Where's her next storyline? It's like she's already having to work her way back up the way for being knocked down. It feels a bit kind of biting off your nose to spite your face. Then you've got Rousey, who's supposed to be this absolute dominant fighter who's done all kinds of damage, hasn't had to cut corners at all for the majority of her run in WWE. Even when she lost the title originally, it was because of mitigating circumstances, the Money in the Bank, the referee count, and all this stuff. Or, well, no, it was Liv Tapping, wasn't it? That was that. But then you have Ronda Rousey now reducing herself to cheating to win. Why? She's she's already like the big bad. She's the horse. She's the one that people have to try and overcome. So now we've got to try and overcome someone who's insurmountable, who's now cheating to win. Why? I don't get it. Are we just burning everyone now? And we're just like, okay, she can't win on her own now, or she can't win fair all of a sudden. And she had no problem doing that for however long she's been champion, for however long she's been in WWE, and then to be fair to her, however long she fought in the UFC. It just seems so out of character. I get you want to make her a heel. She already is. Like, just have her be bad against good people. Just beat them up, injure them. You don't have to overcomplicate things. You can keep it really simple. Get her in the ring, put her with a baby face, and just have her take it too far. So, say Shotzi Blackheart, who's just coming up as a babyface. People are starting to really appreciate her, getting to like her again. That's a perfect person where Ronda Rousey can have a close fought match with someone like Emma, and then get her in that armbar, break her arm, or do something, and just really get people to be like, that's not right. Don't like this. Boo this woman. Those little things make the difference. But then you do something like this, nobody wins because it doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. It's like putting square holes in circle pegs or circle holes in square pegs. And it just doesn't balance. There's no cohesion. We're not basically, if you want to make someone turn heel, I always say you have to earn it. So there's got to be a progression in the storyline. There's got to be reasons and how that works. Was there really a reason that Rousey had to cheat? Really? I mean, she pushed Emma to the ropes. She could have done something else. I don't know. It just felt wasteful. It felt like a real kind of shame. And it's a shame for Emma, who's got this big debut, maybe a good performance, and she did look really good in this match, worked quite hard. Like a good performance and how this goes out, that could open up doors for her, have potential storylines down the line that may work for her, but they never really. I don't know where I'm really going with this, but it doesn't quite jive. Maybe I have to wait till next week to see how it goes, but also this whole Rousey being champion, we're in the realms of open challenges where we don't know who is our next contender. How long is this going to last for? Is this going to go for a couple of weeks, a couple of months? A lot of people talking about Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch being the match for WrestleMania. Man, if this is how they're going to go about it, this is going to be painful. Like, bring in debuts, young talents. Let's just get them rinsed and then have Rousey cheat, because by the time we burn through that whole division, we might make someone out of this. And usually, if you're going to do something like this, you're making a talent at the end. But if Becky Lynch is the one that she's wrestling for the title at WrestleMania, then doesn't really need that kind of treatment. She just needs to have a really good storyline. Call back to how it was a few years ago when they were supposed to have the matches at Survivor Series and WrestleMania. It didn't quite pan out how they wanted to. Just seems a bit weird. Thanks for keeping it up, guys, on the chat, by the way. You're really keeping us going. All right, I forgot a lot of that today. W's crowds have no clue who was in the company more than 1 or 2 years ago, unless it's Media M5. I think that's the thing, is we underestimate the power of the casual fan. We're kind of looking at this from the lens of people who watch week to week, all the time, looking at the nooks and crannies and the crevices of all these things, try to pick holes, go through Twitter, look at all these storylines. Whereas the people, a lot of the ticket buying audience, and a lot of people who are watching on TV are just regular folks who just watch the show and are entertained. So it takes a lot of work to do a debut like that and make it work. Not everyone's watching Impact. Not everyone's watching Ring of Honor, AEW, all these shows. A lot of people are just watching the biggest game in town, and you need to maybe you see. We don't say insult or intelligence, but maybe kind of give them a bit of leeway. Maybe kind of give them the benefit of the doubt that they likely won't know this person. I mean, they did okay mention that Emma wrestled around the world. She's been away for a few years and she's keeping herself fresh by wrestling around the world. But again, without knowing who she is, and then Rousey's reaction didn't really help either. She was like, like, what's that face? Like, like where's the excitement? Where's the sort of all right, here we go. This is someone I need to take seriously. She didn't take her seriously from the get-go. And if the person who's in the ring isn't taking this returning star who's supposed to be a big deal, or you're trying to present as a big surprise, they're not reacting like it's a big deal, then why should I feel it's a big deal? Why should the audience feel like it's a big deal? It just felt like a bit of a mush. Didn't really work to what they were hoping for and what they were expecting. It just didn't pan out exactly that way. And it was a bit of a shame for Emma. I hope they kind of rectify that a little bit. Let's have a wee look here. I'm just going to power through a little bit because after this, there's a few segments, but the one I want to really talk about is Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Now we get exciting. Okay, so after all that slagging off, let's just talk about Labrat. Thanks for coming to the chat. He's saying Emma's just not that big of a star outside of wrestling or indies. That's fair. I would say that's a fair comment to make because she's not really uh, drawn up rocks and stones while she was in WWE. She wasn't like the biggest star that you had in WWE, and she did some things outside of that. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's a lot to be desired of what she's capable of. I just think how they presented her return, it just feels like they wanted her to seem like a bigger deal than what she was. And then when she was in WWE, she was pretty mid card, and that's not a knock on her talent or anything. That's just how they viewed her and how they presented her. But she's got a lot of ability. She can work. She's definitely can do her thing. She's proved that wherever she's went. So maybe she's got something about her. I don't know. I just think it was just a shame how it came back. But anyway, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler talking backstage, kind of getting some feedback in the match. Well done, you. Natalia comes up, gets in Rousey's face, talks about how if it was her that took up the open challenge, she would be champion right now. And Shayna Baszler just grabs her by the neck, chokes her out, and that's all that needed to be said. No words said from Baszler. Rousey gives Shayna the well done, gives her the nod, and then they move on from there. So it looks like they're going to be a pairing, which is quite interesting. Quite a scary proposition when you think about Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, just two people of absolute dominance, just ripping to shreds their whole division. So very exciting times. It's nice to see the teammates and training partners finally doing something together because they've always teased it but not quite got there. So to see them kind of all in. But then what does that mean? Does that mean Shayna Baszler accompanies Rousey to matches and helps her win? Or do they have a push at the tag titles? Which would be fun. You know what? That wouldn't be too bad actually if they had the run at the tag titles because then it gives again another mountain to climb, but it would spread things out a little bit. Damage control are doing okay, but maybe getting a little bit more stagnant. So it helps them out a little bit. Hit Row versus Legado del Fantasma. But Hit Row helped with Shinsuke Nakamura. Another good match. A lot of kind of covering over the same points as what they had in the last time that Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma had. The only difference being that Nakamura is there and helped him out. Weird moment at the start though, when they all come together. They just start brawling, and then B Fab's just standing there in the ring, just standing there shouting at Selena Vega, and nothing happening. The referee's not even doing anything about this. Oh, hang on. I've got a wee comment there. Give me a few seconds. I'll get you in right now, Vet. Bear with me. My lord. Did in that car crash, guys? I'm really sorry. But it was okay. How they got things going, how it kicked off. Again, sorry, guys. I'm totally distracted here. I'm just going to get this link put out to Vet, and then we can get this up and running. I'm about to get Sorted. Skip for now. Right, there you go, Vet. You are in whenever you're ready. Welcome to the show. He's coming to save us. The Vet is coming to save this show. But it was what it was. Not quite the blood feud development that I was hoping for. But again, these things take time. Let's have a look through some of the comments. Let's just see if we've got anything. While I wait for the Vet to appear. He is coming like a knight in shining armor to save my day. A lot of kind of chat and more kind of discourse about Emma maybe not being as high end a star as we maybe hoped she would be, and that's fair. A lot of our work in the independent. I wonder if that's just part to how they just booked her in WWE. Like they looked at her a particular way, and here we go. 2 seconds. Hello, sir.
Oh, hello.
You're saving the day.
Wow. Yeah, I saw you streaming all by yourself there, and I thought, well, this doesn't have to be this way.
So yeah, I didn't know if I could get you on. I was having this. I was saying in the chat earlier. I was John's at the beach, beach house today, or whatever it is, the log or whatever it is, the boathouse, and I didn't know how my day was going to plan out. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to go on my own. Hopefully, it'll pan out okay. But I think I managed okay. I've got 40 minutes in the show, and I've got at least a few viewers and people interacting, so I must be doing all right so far. But how you doing, man? How's it been?
Oh man, all right. I did happen to watch SmackDown, so
God.
that's unfortunate. But other than that, things are all right.
Yeah. So
where are we at?
As far as Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma, I don't know if you've got any thoughts of the kind of first half of the show before we push on towards the end run.
Do I? What happened? We started off with the bloodline and everything, right?
Yeah.
And
that was the bloodline and the Brawling Brutes. They didn't quite go to plan. And then we had the segment in the ring where
So here's what I need to say about that before we go further. Last week, the Usos and everybody just, destroyed Sheamus, which is another instance of people committing whatever crimes they want to on national television, and there being absolutely zero repercussions for this. This is, okay, you maim this guy. You maimed him, okay? And your punishment is you get to have a match with them. You get to have a tag team match next week, which is this week, right? Okay, so they do this to Sheamus again. They maim him, all right? He's out of action, no consequences.
Yeah.
What's the finish of this match, Jimmy?
Oh, to Brawling Brutes and not the Usos, Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa.
Yeah.
Roll up.
Oh. Well, I guess that's retribution enough, right? I mean, there's no... This is the kind of shit that, like... when I watch this, I'm like, are you people fucking serious?
Yeah.
That it's like, no offense, I'm sitting here with you, and these people are making millions to make decisions. Almost everything that the WWE does is wrong-headed. In this type of situation, you constantly see this where we're supposed to get excited when somebody comes in and just fucks somebody up, destroys furniture, destroys property, causes grievous harm. And then it's just like, oh, and we're just going to have a match next week. And I'm so mad at you that I rolled you up, get
that.
So
get one over them.
Rascals. Yeah. So it really undermines the, all of the hard work that the guys are putting in the bloodline, because every one of those guys is like at a peak level of performance, like stage performance, I'm sure you've been there where you're just like, You've probably been on stage before, James, and you just felt like you weren't worried about your next line. You knew it. Everything was just perfect. Like you felt like you were in a zone, right? And all these guys, if these guys don't feel like that all the time, they sure as hell look like they do. And you cannot serve such good work like that with such shitty booking.
Yeah.
Like you take the audience, even if the audience doesn't realize it, they probably subconsciously know something's wrong with that. Like, why aren't the Brawling Brutes matter? You know, like why does it have to be a tag team match to a fall? Why can't it be something where they're so mad they don't even care about the sport? They're just fighting and, you know, it gets disqualified right off the bat. Is anybody that's in St. Louis that night going to give a shit if there's a non-finish in that? If you tell the story that, hey, we're actually trying to get retribution or whatever. And even if they don't do it or whatever, however you come up with it, you know, with whatever finish you want to do, it can't just be, oh yeah, I'll just roll you up. That's cool.
And it would make more sense leading to a pay-per-view match as well, you know, with Brawling Brutes and the Usos having a tag title match. You'd think having something like that would probably get more people invested in watching what comes ahead. Like, well, if this is what they were like in a match against Sammy and Sikoa, what's it going to be when they get their hands on Jimmy and Jay? That would be much more interesting than, as you say, just a roll up and then bounce. It's like roll up out the ring, and then plenty of time for Roman to walk to the ring, have a commercial break, and all that stuff, where it could have completely broken down. But that was my point I was saying at the start of the show, is my issue was that the overlining story, and it overrides a little bit of Roman Reigns and Logan Paul a little bit, is more to do with the infighting between Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. There's more intrigue and interest of what's going on between them than for the tag title match that's happening next week, and then Logan Paul and Roman Reigns next week. And we're not even going to have any of this play out on the pay-per-view because Sami Zayn's not going to go to Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
So what we kind of doing there?
I don't know. Well, the Logan Paul thing's fucked anyway. So who cares? Yeah. Who cares? Like, who even cares? I don't even believe they should acknowledge Crown Jewel on television. There's no point. It should be like a house show that we're all able to watch. Like, we can all go to Peacock and stream it, but they shouldn't talk about it on TV. Nobody look, you're not, who are you selling it to? You're not selling it to anybody from here. Nobody's making that plane ride over there just to watch one of these matches. So we're all going to stream it on Peacock. And if you don't have Peacock, you're not trying. Because let me tell you, they want you to have it, man. Jimmy, you get the network still, but I mean, but for the rest of us over here, like, which is your main market, supposedly, this is who you're marketing to. I mean, the broadcast is in English, so you know, we don't need to be told that Crown Jewel is happening, and we don't need to get hyped up for matches to stream it on Peacock. If we want to watch it, we'll watch it. But you need your stories to, you know, for your domestic television and your domestic pay-per-views in order to entice people to buy tickets to those shows, such as Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, whatever bullshit else in between, etc., etc. You don't have to sell Crown Jewel. It's a paid show. It's a sold show. There's nobody else going to go to it that's not already going to it. Yeah. So that right there, this is a stunt match, and it's fucked, and it doesn't matter. That's another. That's
trying as well. Like,
oh, that's another. Trying. No, and that's another instance of last week. It's like, oh yeah, let's just jump Logan Paul. I'm sure that if the WWE if this was real, I'm sure that they would be, they would be totally happy that their golden goose is getting attacked by one half of a fucking tag team, you know, like ruining everything. It's like, you would think of like the Austin and Tyson thing where McMahon's like, you ruined it. You know, like what if you crippled Logan Paul, you know, by jumping him from behind, and now you don't have a match at Crown Jewel? Yeah. Oh, okay. I guess. Yeah, like why are we even doing this? Like how mentally incompetent are all these people? I don't understand it at all. But anyway, let's fast forward back to where we were right before I jumped in. I believe you said something about Emma coming back in Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
And,
I was
how nice was that, Emma? You just did you see Ronda? By the way, if you don't think Ronda's great, well, no, but if you don't think Ronda's great, if you didn't notice Ronda mocking Emma from doing like the bubble popping thing she used to do,
yeah,
come on, man,
yeah,
that's Ronda right there. Nobody told her that. You think anybody that works there remembers that shit? Hell no. You know, so that's a true WWE fan right there, Ronda Rousey on that with the bubble popping. That was.
How
awesome.
do you feel about Emma coming back though and just instantly getting burned like that? Just getting you.
Yeah.
They could have done something with her. I mean, I'm not expecting her to pull up trees or anything, but they could have done something a bit more substantial. I also didn't like the fact that Rousey had to cheat to win. She's never had to cheat to win, and she's been heel and babyface this whole time. Surely the mere fact that she's just like a Brock Lesnar type in the women's division that's just unbeatable, smashes everyone, is a mountain to climb, and knows it, is enough. The cheating to win thing just doesn't make sense to me.
So she's in a rock and the hard place position because she's trying to manage her level of inexperience with the ineptitude that I've been talking about since I came on here.
Yeah.
Like she is in a place to tell them what's what, but then again, not. You know what I mean? Like she's trying to balance being respectful and trying to do what is asked of her with people that should know better telling her conflicting things.
Yeah.
You know, it's her booking from the, you know, you saw how it was when she came back. The booking's been bad ever since. And she doesn't know what to do. She's lost out there and nobody's helping her. So I'm just happy. Like, I just take the small victory that she remembers Emma's bubble popping. That's it. Yeah, that's all I can take.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Any thoughts on her pairing up with Shayna Baszler? Having a partnership there?
It's I don't know if it's too little, but it's very late.
Yeah.
Like they never should have not been. Like I've been on here saying multiple times, we should have long since had a 4 horsewomen, you know, kind of long-term rivalry by this point. Like it should be years in at this point. But it just wasn't meant to be because they didn't see the value in it.
Yeah.
Even though their whole idea of wrestling promoting is you're supposed to make people see the value in things. Yeah. Like if the people don't see the value in it, you have to make them see it. So
yeah, make it worth the while.
Yeah,
and you could have to watch it.
Yeah, you could have done that. So I like the acknowledgement that they're friends, you know, and that they're on good terms. But they're getting, you know, as Ben would say, they're getting zero, you know, like 5% of max value, out of what they're doing. So, but I like it. I like the acknowledging.
Yeah. So we're at Hit Row and Legado del Fantasma.
Oh, jeez.
Hit Row and special guest Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Just your camera. I was just talking about the weird start. You know, they had the brawling in the ring, and then B-Fab just floating in the ring, just randomly shouting at Selena Vega, who's never going to come in. And they said something about like the referee trying to maintain order, and he's just standing there like a goof. But he's not really doing anything to stop this or kind of move things along. He's just letting them just scramble in the ring. And it just felt weird. Why would you just let B-Fab... Why are you letting B-Fab stand there? In fact, if you're B-Fab and you know that Selena Vega's not going to come in the ring, why are you not going to Selena Vega? So many weird holes in logic right in front of me just to start a match. And it was an okay match, I suppose. It wasn't for something that was supposed to be a blood feud in NXT. I've not seen any hint of it yet.
It wasn't a blood feud. It wasn't a blood feud in NXT, really.
No.
This Hit Row wasn't around long enough for it to be like a super blood feud. But, I mean, there were only so many groups of 3 guys and 1 woman, so that's naturally you'd have to pit them against each other. Yeah, but, you know, here we are. Legado's trying to establish themselves. Well, I say trying to establish. They're supposed to be established.
Yeah.
And here they are taking an L again. So have they won anything since they've been here? The very brief time.
I think they've won the first couple of matches, and then since then, no.
Yeah,
because they won. I think they won the first one against Hit Row.
Okay.
And then they lost this one.
Well,
but they've kind of been inconsistent.
Is that satisfying to you?
No,
as a fan?
Not at all. Not at all. Especially when you look at someone like Legado del Fantasma, the group that they've got. Again, another really good potential heel faction that you could do a similar job to what Judgment Day is doing on Raw. You know, just try and do their own thing, put a stamp on things, pick a veteran or a big name to back up, to bounce off of for a little while, and maybe play the numbers game for a little bit. But they're just going for Hit Row, who are also a team that are trying to establish themselves. So you can't have both succeed. Someone has to fail. Someone has to lose.
Yeah. Well, what can you say? Now, if you're handing me the book, I involve. Now, I'm not going to say it's not going to turn into anything immediately, but I am going to immediately involve Legados with the Bloodline. It's too big to ignore because you have two mafia-style setups here. You cannot sit there and coexist and not acknowledge each other. Yeah. So I would just immediately bring them in and sort of have them rub up against that to where there's just very pleasant, making of acquaintances and things like that. And, welcome to SmackDown on behalf of whatever. And there's oh, yes, thank you very much for your hospitality, blah, blah, blah. And these kinds of things to where you plant the seed in people's heads so that by the time you've more established one of them, then we can either align them up like they come up to do business together, or perhaps there's some friction there. But it's got to be heel friction, right? Because there's nothing babyface about either of these. Even though everybody loves, I know everybody loves the Bloodline, but don't be mistaken for the people are cheering for the performances and how well of a job everybody's doing. Yeah. But the WWE is still stubbornly, they're trying to make them the heels in the situation with Logan Paul. Even I don't know if they're that tone deaf or if they just don't know what else to do, or if they're trying to, capitulate to Logan Paul's half-baked wishes of not wanting to be a heel, if that was even true. I don't know. But anyway, my point is I would stick Legados up next to, the Bloodline every once in a while, just to remind people that, hey, there's two very similar things going on. Something's got to give at some point.
Yeah. I quite like the idea of them kind of working together, aligning at times, and then that gradually turning into a clash, a lot of good mafia families will do. It'd be really nice to have that sort of twist where it's all going well, and then when things start to go wrong on the Bloodline side of things, like people are missing shows and injuries, and it slowly becomes apparent it's because of Legado del Fantasma. That's weeks worth of months potentially worth of storytelling, which would be brilliant. It'd be great TV, but they'll never do it.
No, they'll never do it. And whatever Legado does, and whatever Legado does do, they will do it on camera in front of full view of the world and everybody.
Yeah, you're not getting any Sopranos from this lot. When you come up with an idea like that, that's solid gold right there. That could take you through a year of TV. We're kind of filling up gaps and having Roman Reigns face Logan Paul and all this stuff to get him to WrestleMania, where he might wrestle The Rock. Whereas you could have filled that gap quite easily with a Legado del Fantasma, have this mafioso storyline, and you don't even have to have Roman around, but just having that connection between the top guys of the factions, maybe having meetings, helping each other out, and then as it goes on, maybe things start to get a little bit weird, and you can have a mini feud between them. It'd be worthwhile. It's too easy though. It's too easy.
Is it? I mean, the way they would
for
do
WWE I would say it's too easy for them.
Yeah, but they make everything more difficult than it has to be. So I don't know. But in any case, so they take a loss to Hiro and
Hit Row.
Shinsuke here, I guess. All right.
Yeah, for reasons especially when they've got special guests. It felt like Shinsuke Nakamura being the special guest tag partner, and he can't lose because he's a special guest tag partner. He got the win and everything. I don't know. I think if you're gonna, I suppose not having Swerve there makes a problem out of that. But I don't know. Numbers games work quite well.
Oh, you didn't see what Swerve was doing on the other channel, did you?
Nah.
Oh well,
the
simply,
interest is gone.
Wait 1 second there, Jimmy. What about this? What if he kidnapped Billy Gunn and tied him to a chair, right? And said that he's not only a big music mogul, but he's also a Hollywood director, and that his favorite genre is horror.
Oh
and
God, no.
Yeah, and Billy Gunn's not going to be there for the tag team championship match against the Acclaimed because he's going to be in the hospital. And then he takes a pair of pliers and starts breaking Billy Gunn's fingers right there on
what?
Oh yeah. Oh, you didn't see this?
Fuck no.
Guys, chat. Am I lying? Jesus. Am I lying, or did this not happen on Rampage? They're trying to get people to watch Rampage. So what's the best way to do that? Kidnap Billy Gunn and break his fingers.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's
you think Bray Wyatt's spooky. Wait till you see Swerve Strickland.
Don't get me started on Bray. Don't even get me started on Bray.
Oh, well, we're going to have to finish on it, right? So
yeah.
Let's go ahead.
But that's wild. Just like kidnap and break the... I suppose it's kind of fitting with Halloween, I guess, but at the same time, that much. But that seems very out of character for what they're about.
Keith Lee was appalled. He can't believe his partner's doing this.
I would imagine. He would be affronted, some would say. Can't wait for that promo next week. But I'm genuinely taken aback by this. Just kidnapped him and broke his leg. That's the TV I want to see on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of cross promotion reporting you can expect on channelattitude.com.
Oh my God, yeah. What a time to be alive. But we'll push on. There was a couple of backstage segments. We talked a lot about Roman Reigns and Logan Paul. We don't really have to touch too much on the sparring footage. I mentioned earlier on, it was like half-assed attempt to try and make it seem a bit more interesting. It was. LA Knight had a quick promo with Ricochet. Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah. Again, I like LA Knight did great with a little bit of promo time that he had, but it feels like putting him up against Ricochet is a bit of a shame now. That's putting in a wolf against a sheep. Like, he's always going to get absolutely destroyed on the microphone against. But a good setup for LA Knight in the ring, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. Ricochet needs to be in the process of rehabbing. I don't need him taking another L to get LA Knight over. But it was very interesting, the booking of LA Knight in NXT, because I don't think he ever won a single match. In fact, he did win a single match. But I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it felt like he was always putting somebody over. And that's probably because they figured, well, this guy's so good, it won't hurt him. But that's not entirely true. I mean, you shouldn't have to sacrifice one for the other. So Ricochet's in a thing where he needs to be something better than what he's been. And I think he's got to go off on his own sort of thing, not put with LA Knight again. You know what I mean? Just so that LA Knight can get a win and get some heat.
Yeah.
I don't know who, but just not Ricochet.
And it's figuring out his trajectory as well. Like, where does he go on this? The way the lay of the land is right now. I mean, you can't really push him towards Walter or Gunther because
another one of the jobs he did on.
Yep. You can't push him towards Roman Reigns because, as bad as it sounds, as good as he would be, you can't really foresee that being the way he's going ahead short term. He's kind of in a weird, strange place where we can't, unless things change like dramatically soon, he's going to be stuck just having these mini feuds with the likes of Ricochet and maybe a Madcap Moss and things like that, just to almost like kill time with him and just get him on TV. I mean, not having him on TV is obviously better than not having him on TV.
Well, Madcap Moss is a good choice. I mean, we'll see him in a second, but
yeah.
But he's somebody that's like, if you beat Madcap Moss now, I can't believe I'm just saying this with no irony. Okay, let me try that again. If you beat Madcap Moss, then you should, like, this will be something that could eventually lead to him changing his attitude, changing his name, changing his look or whatever, just so that you have a reason why he just suddenly stops being Madcap Moss. So if he loses to LA Knight and LA Knight runs him into the ground verbally and everything like that, then we can get like, that can lead to a gimmick change. So that's a guy that needs to get beat. Otherwise, what's his motivating factor for stopping being a jackass, you know? So
yeah.
That's an example of who you pair LA Knight with, but it looks like they're not doing it.
Yeah. Instead, he got paired up with Karrion Kross.
Yeah, that's
kind of a shame.
Labrat says, are they making Ricochet into the Chris Sabin of WWE? I wish.
Oh,
I wish they would, because Chris Sabin don't take no L's.
No,
he beats everybody. So
remember we became world champion and I had that strange kind of heel run for a while. Kind of odd, but that was a good time. But yeah, Riddick Moss versus Karrion Kross. More of a kind of showcase for what Karrion Kross is about and what he's going to do. It was a good match, but more to the point of what was the finish when he puts on the cross jacket, gets the win, and then cuts a promo whilst he holds the mic as well, which is even more impressive. He has the cross jacket in, or the rear naked choke, really. Gets it in, holds the mic while he's talking to the camera about the match with Drew McIntyre. And he makes the point of saying Madcap Moss it was a better fight than Drew was because he's not a coward. Mm-hmm. That was kind of a weird thing to say. I get it, I suppose, but relating back to the car crash incident 2 weeks ago, did we ever find out what caused that? I thought it was pretty much.
I assumed
Drew just picked this shot.
No, I assumed that Drew McIntyre caused the car crash.
I thought that as well. I don't know why they didn't just outright say it or show it.
Because one, that would be more stunt stuff they have to do if that was the case. It's much lazier yet easier to just show up on the accident already than to actually stage one, right? But nonetheless, another example of a guy basically admitting to a crime and then, no repercussions for it whatsoever. It's like
that's a podcast I want to do at some point. Like just like play judge and have a couple of people on and talk about all these crimes. I want to do that. Maybe I should do it on Channel Attitude.
Filmed crimes. It's on my bingo list of sports entertainment bingo. It's number one.
Honestly, there's an infinite amount of crime that has happened in wrestling in general. You could rack up a rap sheet, take them to court on it.
We really need a superhero like Ricochet now with all these crimes, is the way I see it.
Well, we've no longer got a Nikki ASH, so we really need to pull in another Ricochet.
And she was only almost ever a superhero anyway. Yeah, she never fully graduated into full superhero. No. She gave up on it. So
nope. But went back to being a total Raj, though. Great things. Yeah. Happy
days.
So
this whole thing with Drew McIntyre and Cross is like, it sucks. Like, we know that. There's no way around it. They're not. They're having trouble with their. I don't think Cross is having trouble with his characterization, but I think Drew is, in the same way that, we're talking about like, they're miscasting people. Like, the Roman Reigns is like, they want him to be a heel, but people just enjoy it too much. Or, Ronda Rousey being confused about how she's supposed to be. And, they want Drew McIntyre to be somebody that is like, I don't know, you want him to be a role model, but then you call him the Scottish psychopath, but then you have him cause car accidents and, jump people from behind, which is, like, I don't agree that you can't do that because this is retribution for Cross, what he did to him. So it's not like Drew McIntyre just has a complete change of heart. He's retaliating. So I get it, But at the same time, it's still like it still puts him in a bad light of the same thing I'm talking about with the Brawling Brutes earlier. Like, you fucked up my friend and I'm gonna roll you up, and Drew McIntyre's gonna cause a car accident, but then what? Like, where is he now? Like,
it wasn't here this weekend.
Yeah, what happened to him last week?
Yeah, it's weird, and I kind of wish they just. I feel like they're trying to shoehorn him into babyface, and I'm not mean make him a heel or anything. What I mean is, like, rather than try and just have him try and present himself as a babyface, just present him as a person. You know, he's pissed off, he's angry. All these things have happened, and as you say, he's retaliating to what's happened to him. This whole car crash incident, attacking Karrion Kross, was because of that. Rather than try and have him play up to being a babyface, just let him be angry. Just let him be normal about these things.
Well, we're gonna get a cage match, because that'll settle it. Like, if you already attempt vehicular homicide, then the only logical next step is to have a wrestling match in a chain link fence.
Congratulations, we're gonna have the match we should have had the first time round.
Are they gonna have a match on the plane over? Because they're gonna be on that plane. Can we have a 35,000 feet match? Like, what do you know?
Sort of
like how stupid do they think we are, really? I don't.
Yeah. I don't know. I try not to think about it too much anymore.
You need to think about it. You need to think about it, because I want other people to see the same things. I'm tired of hearing people saying it's just wrestling. Well, are you happy with it? Is anybody overwhelmingly happy with the state of the business right now? And if they are they just too young to remember when there was ever anything good in it? I mean, come on, don't settle for mediocrity ever. Always point out these things. Always judge wrestling at the highest level of entertainment. Don't just judge it against other wrestling. Yeah. You don't let them spoon feed you stuff. That's how you get away with complacency for 2 decades. You have to push back, and you have to not accept when things are just okay. Okay is the baseline minimum it should be. You know, like the stuff with the bloodline, like I said, we put it over all the time. Everybody puts it over. No one's out there on podcasts saying the bloodline sucks, they're boring, nobody likes them. Nobody's saying that, because we all know it's great. But that is just one component of everything. Should be on that level of quality. Everything should have that level of care and attention. And I understand that not everybody can. I attribute that stuff to Heyman, and I know that Heyman's not in charge of the whole show. But other people, maybe that's what we're seeing here with some of the inconsistency. Maybe people are being given a chance to fail. You know, like the same way I would say when Vince would rip up a script, you know, at 3 p.m. or whatever, and then rewrite the stuff, and it all ends up the same. Well, what if they're just not ripping up scripts? So if it comes in bad, they're like, well, let's go with it, and we'll try to fix it next time.
Yeah. Maybe
that's where some of the inconsistency comes in, but one of the things that they've got to get away from, and Labrat asked the question, can someone tell me why, since Triple H took over, there's been like 3 car crashes that have not been explained?
Oh, yeah.
Well, because somebody thinks having a car crash is exciting. Oh, it's not what you think of when you think of wrestling. Look, there's outside the ring action. Oh, look at this car accident over here. Oh, look at this backstage beatdown over here. Oh, look at Logan Paul getting jumped. Oh, look at Sheamus getting his arm broken. Like, they're trying to create excitement artificially because they know that their core product is stagnant and boring, and they don't even know how to make it interesting anymore. They don't even know how to make wrestling matches interesting anymore. So they're trying to dazzle you with these other things, or on Raw, they'll have Johnny Gargano in 20 segments trying to be a comedian.
Yeah.
And they think that that's being more dynamic and more interesting and exciting and catering to people that may not be wrestling fans. Well, I got news for you. Nobody that ain't a wrestling fan is going to check these shows out. Sorry, it's just not going to happen. And they're not going to stick around when they see dumb shit like what they see. So, what was my point? Oh yeah. So, LA Knight shouldn't be in a thing with Ricochet. I think that's my point.
Totally. And the same with like Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross, just kind of.
Oh yeah, them too.
Finally getting it over, having a cage match while they're on the same plane over to.
Yeah,
that's what was fun. That was
chain link fence.
Yep.
You know how much it hurts to get thrown into a chain link fence. Not very much, because we all did it on the playground. So
they're all springy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all it is, really, about spring.
It's a little springy, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to bring back the blue bar cage, then
that was a cage.
Now we're talking. All right.
Speaking of talking, I don't really want to talk about this, but I suppose we have to. Yeah. Bray Wyatt, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
out. I'm done.
Okay. Well,
I was excited to begin with. It started off quite well, with the QR codes and all that, and it piqued my interest because it was something different. It was a bit unique. We had something to follow, and it got us excited, even though we knew it was coming. And ever since then, he's talked a load of shite. It's. I don't know why I'm interested. He's had the same thing 3 times over now. Every time he's been on a main event segment for SmackDown, it's been what's happened last night. Mm-hmm. He talks to the fans. This is me and you. I'm this. I've got emotions. I'm happy now. And then it all gets kind of wibbly wobbly, and then someone on the screen, this Uncle Howdy character, pops up and says things. I'm out. What's there to be interested in? Really? There's nothing that's progressed here. Okay, you've given me Uncle Howdy the first week with a mask on, and this week you gave him take the mask off. Woo. It looked no different to what he did when he wore the mask. It just looked like more mask under the mask.
Mm-hmm.
So, where are we heading? And I don't know if that's Bray's fault. I don't know if that's creative's fault. I don't know if it's everyone's fault. I don't know. Maybe I was expecting too much when he came back. Maybe I was hoping that we'd figure this out right away. Like maybe they have a plan in action. Why would he come back? Usually when people debut and come back, there's impetus, there's reason. Even Emma came back because she answered an open challenge for a title. There's a reason people return and do things. They don't just appear and then start spouting off to the crowd saying, I'm thankful to be here. I've had this. I'm a different person now. This is the real me. I don't wear a mask anymore. And then you see someone wearing a mask talking to Bray and then talking to the crowd through that.
Yeah.
It just kills me. It's just killing me. It kills my excitement. After all this work they've done to make me excited as a fan, just to see what's coming, the potential what could be, and we've had 3 weeks of this now. I feel like the time's been wasted.
I have no sympathy for you, James. None.
Good. I appreciate it.
Because you deserve this. Because you should have known better. You should have already known better. They've never given you anything different. So you knew it was just going to be different. Yeah. That's exactly what I mean. I was just referring specifically to this. It doesn't matter how you dress it up. It's the same guy, and it's the same bullshit.
Yep.
And that's all it was ever going to be. I've always said that. I've been very consistent in that. As for an impetus of why he comes back, who knows? Maybe JoJo and the kids were just driving me crazy at home, man. I don't know. Whatever it takes. But, this, when he came back and did the initial promo, I said, this is the worst thing you could have done.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hear, like, even if I was a fan of yours, which I'm not, never have been, not for a second. But even if I was, let's play along with it. Okay, you're back. The last thing I want to hear out of your mouth is that you're a regular person and that you have mental health issues and you're crying because people said mean things about you on the internet. I don't want to hear any of that from a supernatural, supposed to be Satan walking on earth. You know what I mean? Like, that's not interested in that. don't give me literally the real me promo. Like that Stevie and Ben joke about that all the time, and then it really happens. Like the last character that you need to do that with is this guy. Yeah. And I mean, where they're going with it, they think they think by putting this breadcrumb trail or being coy about certain things that heightens the interest. Like, oh, well, we didn't get an answer this week, so we've got to tune in next week to find the answer. Oh, they didn't give us an answer this week, but they said a little something different. So maybe next time they'll give another breadcrumb, and so on. It's you're stringing starving people along.
Yeah.
You know, leaving little breadcrumbs here. And you're not going to eventually get to a nice, delicious, full loaf of bread. You know, you're just going to end up starving to death because you're waiting for something that could never meet whatever expectations you could come up with or whatever you could imagine it could be. Is it any like, would there even be a question that this Uncle whatever, what'd you say his name was?
Uncle Howdy.
What? Is this not Bray Wyatt doing these promos?
Well, I thought that too, but then I saw something this morning which piqued my interest. I was quite curious. He had an earring on, and it's the same earring that Bo Dallas used to wear when he had his run as part of the, what was that group he had with Heath Slater and Curtis Axel, that sort of group. We had like a cross earring. So the thinking is, because he's his brother, it's both of them. It's so Bray's the one in the ring, and Bo's the one that's playing Uncle Howdy. But I'd imagine it'd probably be Bray when he's doing the promos and stuff. But
yeah. So we're gonna get a cinematic. Are we gonna get a cinematic match where he has a match with himself, or like Ethan Page, or are we going to just get a regular match where Bo Dallas is playing Uncle Howdy and he has a match with Uncle Howdy? Those are the only two things that you can get. Because let's face it, pro wrestling promotion, everything leads to a wrestling match. Doesn't matter what it is. That's all you can ever do. We've proven that you cannot get outside the bounds of, you know, the squared circle when it comes to entertainment. So that's what it's going to be. And that's not enough. Like, that's where the supernatural, it doesn't cross over, because you can't be expected to take that seriously. And then we turn around and be like, oh, but over here we got Brock Lesnar versus Bobby Lashley. Now that guys, that's real sports right
these
there.
Are real people.
Yeah, these are real people doing real sports things. Or hey, look at Logan Paul. Hey, one lucky punch, man. He could be the WWE champion. But so could this supernatural hillbilly. He could be the WWE champion too.
Yeah.
The two worlds don't collide in a satisfactory way. Unless you try to compartmentalize all this shit and just say, hey, look, I know everything's fake, so I'm just taking everything at face value or whatever. But, you know, like I said, I've never been a fan of this gimmick, not in any of its forms, and I just don't see the appeal in it. But I also realize that that's one of the areas where a lot of people tend to disagree with me, and they do find it entertaining. So fair enough. Just don't come crying to me when I tell you that this house of cards will also collapse, and there's no logical way to make this reasonable and entertaining and satisfying.
Yeah. And that's the thing for me. It's already unraveling for me so fast. But at least with the Firefly Funhouse things, and then the stuff with the Fiend, like, you kind of played off the two. So you had Bray being the nice guy, and the Fiend was the in-ring presence. But now it's like the opposite way around now. But then, I don't know. I agree. This is the real me thing worked the first time. You don't need to keep saying it all the time.
He basically did a repeat of the first promo here.
Yeah.
It was almost like he only went out there to get interrupted.
It's getting contrived already.
Mm-hmm.
Even more so that he was talking over his interruption this time. You know, the last time he done it, he was talking and the mic cut, and then it went straight to that. This one, he still kept going as it was black. You're blacked out and everything. You're still going. And it took me out.
And if this is that's another thing. Like I think about like all these thoughts enter my mind as I'm sitting and watching this. Like this is the real me. This is just me and you guys. You know, we're all out here. We're all normal. We're all the same. But the lights are still off. Turn the fucking lights on then.
Yeah.
You know, like what are you hiding from? If we're all friends and we're all normal and we're just hanging out and you're just doing a wrestling promo like everybody else, well, everybody else don't have the lights off. Turn the lights on. You know.
And he called himself out on that as well. Through this Uncle Howdy things, like he says he doesn't wear a mask. He's absolutely wearing a mask. What are you wearing right now? It's like, so he's called himself out.
Yeah.
So it feels like some kind of two-minded serial killer stuff might happen. But I agree with you. There's a point where this has to go to the ring, and as soon as it gets in the ring, that's where it all comes crashing down.
No, it already came crashing down, but it'll just get even sillier.
Yeah.
You know.
Like if anyone's in the camp of still giving it the benefit of the doubt, I'll let them have that. But that for me, like this week for me was that I'm out. I'm done. Like after such a good kind of, because the thing that got me interested, maybe not so much like what could it be, well maybe what could it have been, but it's the whole follow the white rabbit thing, and I was made sure that I was paying attention. Following the QR codes, looking at clues, seeing these things, and it
did you actually hold your phone up and scan a QR code?
No, other people done it for me, so I just followed that chain.
All right.
but the idea there, it's like, you know what? I was like, okay, I'm interested in what's going on, like where this leads, and it gave me another way to take in the story and the show, and it made it worthwhile viewing rather than just kind of sitting here mindlessly seeing the same things over and over again. And then we get to Money in the Bank, and then hooray, here's your reward. The White Rabbit has led you to Bray Wyatt returning. Great. But then after that, you get that promo, and I suppose, okay, fair enough. He's been out for a year. Maybe he's got some things to say. Maybe this is a sort of, okay, he's getting this out of the way because once this is over, it's into the weird stuff. It's just going to be strange from here on out. But then he kept doing it. Then the White Rabbit stuff just disappeared. Like I thought that was something that was going to be continuing. Like more other things might appear and things will happen. But didn't really. Then we got that weird promo the week after where it was, I'm going to do some horrible things probably. Okay, weird, but okay. But it was done.
But I'm just like you.
I'm just like you, man. I'm just like, we're friends. It's a real me. I'm going to kill people, but it's real me. But then,
hey, you're in the right place, buddy. We got vehicular attempted homicides. We maimed Sheamus last week. Like,
yeah, have at it. I suppose I say I'm saying this, but I should have like all the music in the background as I said it because the mix was fucking atrocious last week.
Bro, that theme song sucks. I heard people putting it over, but it sucks. It sucks when you play it underneath everything too. That's corny ass Impact shit. I broke Impact of that.
Yeah, that's out the room stuff as soon as that happens. I don't mind it, but it's how long it takes. That is way too long. Like, because you have the music start and you wait for ages and ages, and then you have the light on the door and you look at the door and it's fixated on there for ages and ages. Then you open the door and there's nothing there for ages and ages. And it takes him ages and ages to get to the door, to walk through the door, and then take ages and ages to get to the ring. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it sounds like I'm exaggerating. I'm not really.
Oh no, I shaved right before Bray Wyatt started his entrance. Yeah. So I mean, it's just, you know.
Is he trying to take Undertaker's record here? Like, was that entrance not long enough?
Yep. God, yeah, because that's why the Undertaker was over. It's just because his entrance was long. No other reasons.
He walked to the ring very slowly. The anticipation was outstanding by the end of it. But I don't know. Unless this gets some form of substance, then this is already doomed to fail. It was already. I suppose you'll agree that it's already doomed to fail. But the hope for what could be is dwindling fast. They need to. I feel like they're just going to throw him in at Crown Jewel on someone, on Drew or Roman. This is what it's all leading to. They're just biding their time for him to appear in the cage in the Drew McIntyre match, a la Dean Ambrose or whoever it was when he appeared in the Lantern.
Well, the way they've got it set up, it looks like that Bray Wyatt is the one who will be under attack and under siege.
Mm.
So, we're looking at him and they're trying to paint him in a sympathetic light. That's why they're going with this. That's why I think that somehow it's supposed to be some kind of a shocking twist that he was the, the uncle, whatever his name was, Howdy Doody. Was that his
Uncle
name?
Howdy.
Yeah. Like we're like that's supposed to be their Shyamalan level twist. Like, huh? You guys didn't see that one coming. It was him all. Yeah. It was actually himself. He was cutting promos on himself. It's like, no, we already did this. You did this last time. That's what The Fiend and Bray Wyatt was with the Funhouse.
I fooled you, man. I fooled you.
I fooled you, man. Yeah.
You didn't know it was me. You would have thought he saw me, but you didn't see me, man.
I think we should book a Bray Wyatt
Oh my
thing.
god. Oh, I'd have a good giggle like that. I'd have a good with that. But is there anything else you want to add on this SmackDown before we call it a day? Talking about the Bray Wyatt stuff's bummed me out now.
No.
Been let down by him already.
Yeah, well, once again, I want to congratulate everybody that's involved in the Bloodline for being so awesome and trying to be the only tolerable thing on American television as far as pro wrestling goes. I really enjoyed I think at times they were treading water, but I really did enjoy the way Jay kind of plays up his role in this. And I think they can do even more with it in terms of acknowledging the past, because, Jay was the first one who Roman browbeat into his subservient lackey, right? Because Jimmy was gone because of some DUI bullshit or something, whatever it was. He was or injured or whatever. With him, it could have been anything. And Jay's the one guy that never did anything wrong. He never got in trouble in the company or whatever. And he was the one that tried to resist Roman at first and not want to go along with this whole head of the table thing. And he was also the first one to get broken. So him being the holdout here with Sami Zayn and everything is very fascinating in terms of psychologically what you can do with the character and stuff like that. And I really like the, I think it was last week, right before he went out there, when they were talking in the back and how Sammy was trying to say no, Roman said he doesn't want us to do all this. And then, Jay kind of agrees, and then he's like, but I'm a hothead, so you never know what I'm going to do. Just the way he can call back to those things. I really, that again, it's just something we're not getting on any other level, in the company.
Yeah.
So while at the same time it makes it stand out and its excellence is, brought to the forefront, it also shames everything else on the show and makes SmackDown look worse by being so good. It's a catch-22. Being so good shits on everything else.
It starts up here and it's downhill all the way from there. I suppose that's why they started to sprinkle more Bloodline stuff through the show again, because that's kind of up, down, up, down, up, down.
Right.
To bring it back.
But I mean, however long I've been coming on the Smack Attack with you guys and just burying the WWE shovel after shovel, you thought, it's like the Buried Alive match and I'm driving the backhoe up every single week. So I do want to, take the time to, give positive acknowledgement to people that deserve it and are doing their best to make this shit watchable. I don't want to, I do like to have a little bit of the power of positivity, as the New Day would say. Didn't they have a match on here? Or
they had that match with Maximum Male Models. I totally skimmed that because I was like, no, I was too sad about Maximum Male Models.
Yeah,
I had my rant about what could have been earlier.
Poor Mansoor. He's actually pretty good.
Stuff. Yeah,
he's pretty good, but they're not really getting the most out of him. Oh well. So that's all I had to say. I just wanted to give one more shout out to the Bloodline.
Yeah, and shout out to you for coming to help me out. You pulled me out of a hole here towards the end, but it's So it's much appreciated. And shout out to the chat. You kept it going, kept it lively as always. Much appreciated for that there. If you just finished coming up to the end of this, or if you're not really listen, if you're just watching this, whatever, you only get to see this live when we record this. You're only supposed to see this live when we record this. So after this, we're gone. We're out of here. We only got one place you can listen to us, and that is on Channel Attitude. channelattitude.com/Hammy Media Group. Some of the best content you will find around for pro wrestling. You've got shows like the Smack Attack, Next Level Review with the Vet, Impact Attack with the Vet, and any other show that the Vet's on as well. We've got the Monday Locker Room, the Friday Locker Room, Light the Fuse, which you've been on recently as well.
It was sometime within the past month or so, but
yeah,
I think that RBV and Timmy Baltimore have been killing it. So my services had not been required, and I am not. That is 100% fine with me, because when I'm watching Dynamite, mostly my head is in my hands and I'm crying.
Oh, God.
So,
that
MJF aside, aside.
MJF and the Bloodline, the two pillars of their equal companies that are just setting.
And even MJF, like speaking of that, okay, so I'm not on Light the Fuse this week, but I'll give my mini review of the end of that show on Wednesday. You basically are doing everything you can to kill the magic by trying to make MJF like a sympathetic character. That's the last thing he wants to do, and that's the last thing you should want to do.
Yeah.
And like, I was worried that they were going to try to go in that direction, and they went fully in that direction by the end of Dynamite. And even if it's a swerve and he ends up being a piece of shit after all, then it's just too. It's
too deep.
It's like, it's too cliche now. Like, okay, a wrestling swerve. Like, it's not. There's too many swerves without establishing anything in the first place. That's why we're in the predicament we're in now. So we need more consistency over longer periods of time if we want anything to mean anything. So, but anyway, continue with your pitch.
Yeah, no, channelattitude.com for some absolute great content, especially from Hammy Media Group. Keep your eyes peeled for Channel Attitude. If you are a subscriber on Channel Attitude, or if you're not a subscriber, maybe think about doing that now. I'm going to say no more on this, but December's looking pretty busy for me. Anyway, apart from that, if you want to get in touch with us directly, I'll tell you in a minute. Get in touch with us directly. You can tweet us at SmackAttackHMG, or you can email us at SmackAttackHammyMedia@gmail.com. We always love it when you get in touch with us, so do that too. Follow Hammy Media Group on Facebook, the Hammy Media discussion group there. You can get your comments in, your thoughts, your opinions. We're all there having a great time, having a chat. We also do live discussions of all pay-per-views, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW shows, and the like. So get involved where you can. We also do pick'ems for all the pay-per-views as well, especially for Crown Jewel next week, I believe. Get involved, be part of the team. We'd love to have you. And on that note, it's another week where WWE, I'll start that again. I usually do quite a good outro thing, but it's not been the same. But anyway, you know what? I've been out of my rhythm. That's my problem.
Take two, action.
So we're 1 week away from Crown Jewel, and it seems like Logan Paul and the Brawling Brutes are at the rear view mirror as bigger things are in action inside the bloodline. Bray Wyatt has left us all confused. Will we get more answers next week? There's only one way to find out, and that's by tuning into another edition of the Smack Attack. Tune in.